Dear participants, scholars, academicians who have come and gathered from various parts of India, once again, I welcome you all to on this occasion of 2 days national seminar on development, public administration and development dynamics in India. Vice Chancellors would be presiding this session. He will be joining shortly. He has some professional engagement, but he has promised to come as soon as possible. He will be free there. I once again request Dr. Wasim Rahman, please come on to the dais. I request Sajid Najullah Sahab, convener of the program, please come on to the dais and occupy the chair. The program will start with MANUU Tarana. I request the teams, please play the song.
ये बाबे शहर इल्म है उर्दू ज़बान का, ये बाबे शहर इल्म है उर्दू ज़बान का। आओ सफ़र यहाँ से करे आसमान का, शहर इल्म है उर्दू ज़बान का। इल्मो कमाल फजलो शियारो शूर तक फैली है दिल नवाज महक दूर दूर तक। मिलता यहाँ निसाब है सारे जहान का, ये बाबे शहर इल्म है उर्दू ज़बान का, ये बाबे शहर इल्म है उर्दू ज़बान का। हर नक्शो रंगो बू से करो अपनी गुफ्तगू, आज़ाद दरसगाह की है ये भी जुस्तजू। सब फासला मिटाते चलो दरमियान का, ये बाबे शहर इल्म है उर्दू ज़बान का, ये बाबे शहर इल्म है उर्दू ज़बान का। ग़र्बो जुनूब से होके शर्क़ो वो शुमाल से आगे बढ़ो ख़याल मिला दो ख़याल से। चर्चा हो कायनात में हिंदुस्तान का, ये बाबे शहर इल्म है उर्दू ज़बान का, ये बाबे शहर इल्म है उर्दू ज़बान का। फसले सदा बहार से बसती बसी रहे, मिलकर दुआ करो कि ये खेती हरी रहे, साया रहे सरों पे किसी साहिबान का। ये बाबे शहरे इल्म है उर्दू ज़बान का। आओ सफ़र यहाँ से करे आसमान का। ये बाबे शहरे इल्म है उर्दू ज़बान का। ये बाबे शहरे इल्म है उर्दू ज़बान का।
Thank you very much for the team for this lovely tarana. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me immense pleasure by extending a warm welcome to each and every one of you gathered here today on this occasion of 2 days national seminar titled Public Administration and Development Dynamics in India. We are truly privileged to have a distinguished personality, galaxy of intellectuals, scholars, noted academicians from various parts of India. Now, without further delay, let me introduce our esteemed chief guest and keynote speaker for this inaugural session of National Seminar, Professor Rumki Basu. Professor Rumki Basu is an individual of remarkable achievements and a source of inspiration for many. We are also honored to have our guest of honor with us, Dr. Wasim Rahman, an IRS officer. Presently, he is the Additional Commissioner of Income Tax posted at Hyderabad. I also welcome the Dean School of Arts and Social Science, Professor Farida Siddiqui. Under her guidance, we have been planning and organizing this seminar. And last but not the least, I once again welcome to all the paper presenter, chair, and speaker of plenary session who have come here, who will be participating, presenting. For further course of action, I would like to request the convener of the seminar, Dr. Syed Najullah sir, to come on the rise and give a formal outline about the seminar and its theme, relevance, objective, and future course of action. Please come, sir.
Respected chairperson of the session, chief guest, guest of honor, the august gathering, the guests, the deans, professors, faculty of the university, delegates who have come from different parts of the country, and chairpersons, paper presenters, research scholars, students, and all the participants, I extend a warm welcome to you all on this 2-day national seminar on the topic of public administration development dynamics in India. You all know this is a very important topic and being held at a very important juncture of our nation, as we have celebrated recently 75 years of our independence, and we are now thinking of the century, the 2047 vision. In this context, public administration has a major role, important role. In that context, we thought this will be a apt title and topic on which we can have academicians, administrators, policy makers to sit and discuss and deliberate and come to some kind of a views which will really add to the ongoing efforts to make India a leader, a global leader by 2047. So I'm very happy that a very renowned scholar of public administration, Professor Rumki Basu ma'am, has accepted to be the chief guest of this program. And Dr. Wasimur Rahman, IRS, Additional Commissioner of Income Tax, is gracing the occasion as the guest of honor. I am also thankful to our Dean ma'am, Professor Farida Siddiqui, who has always extended support and encourages us in conducting this kind of activities. Professor Ainul Hassan Sahab, the Vice Chancellor, is also encouraging, supporting us in all this endeavor, and he will be coming to the session program at around 12:30 because of some selection committee important engagement. He has not joined right now, but he will be joining later. So I welcome you all to this very important national seminar. As I told you, public administration is as old as the state, and public administration as an activity is there since the society is there, since the state has come into being. And as a discipline, it is as old as Kautilya. Even though we generally refer it to Woodrow Wilson, but we can say modern period, it is the statecraft is there from the state when state started. But studying it as a discipline, we started as a discipline in a modern sense, maybe only 200 years old. But this subject has a great significance in keeping this civilization and holding together the society. And one example which comes to my mind, which is very striking, that the importance of public administration we can see when 2 years back when there was a corona, everything was shut down. It is only public administration which was working. You know, it is the administrators, it is the police officers, it is the municipal workers, it is the government doctors. Even private doctors were also taking rest at their houses, and we teachers are also there locked down ourselves. And it is the administration which was working, keeping this thing going. This thing means the whole affairs of the world. So this is the importance of public administration. We as academicians, we are acting as a think tank for this activity. Whatever is happening, whatever is development we are seeing, now the public administration has come a long way. Now we are seeing that the ease of things being done from our home. This is also a great leap of public administration. But from where it has come, it has certainly come from the institutions like this, that is universities, think tanks, and the educational institutions where they prepare students who study public administration as a subject and who train themselves in this art of running administration. And these ideas they take when they become administrators, policy makers, teachers, they take forward, and this translates into action, which we are now all seeing. We are getting the fruits of it. We are seeing how things have become easy. All administration, now we are doing all our things we are doing from our homes. This all has become possible because of the development in the administration, public administration particularly. And this development in public administration has happened surely because of the background think tank thinking and also process of discussion, deliberation, writings going on in the academic sections. So these two things are very important, the public administration in action and the public administration in theory. So we thought this is the right time where our country is thinking, actually planning instead of thinking about the next 25 years, what we will be doing. We thought that we will take up this topic, that public administration, development dynamics in India. You know, particularly these 25 years have been very, very important for us, and how India has changed only when we can see, when we can compare what was there before 75. So all these things, I think we will have really fortunate that many people will also be joining us tomorrow. We are having a plenary session. In that also, we have scholars of public administration coming to deliberate, discuss, and also deliver lectures on this important issue, that how we can go about with the subject, with the discipline, how we can develop the discipline, how this development in discipline will lead or shall lead to the development of the administration, that is administration development and development of administration. So this will surely will lead to lot of administrative reforms and all. We as a institute, Maulana Azad National University, we are having this Department of Public Administration since 2006. From that time till now, we have conducted 5 national seminars, and we regularly engage in conducting lectures, talks, now and then on important topics. This is the 5th national seminar. So I really happy to see all of you participating enthusiastically in this. I request all of you to give your full time to discuss, deliberate, and the topics you have chosen, so that we also contribute full papers, and we also planning that we will bring out a volume which really worth of some kind of a action. It will give some direction to the policy makers. We are in the process. Towards this end, I hope and I wish that all of you, as a researchers, as a academicians, as a professors, will contribute and make this seminar a fruitful and successful. I once again thank all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for a wonderful brief in time-limited frame. It was all really concise, and I hope every participant who are here will be satisfied with his argument. And now it's a formal time to give a memento and bouquet to our respected guest. For this, I would like to call the volunteers. Please come with the bouquet. I request Professor Farida Siddiqui ma'am to present bouquet to our chief guest and keynote speaker, to Professor Rumki Basu ma'am. Please put your hand together and give a big round of applause. Okay. I also request the volunteer to come with memento. And I request Farida ma'am, please present this memento to our keynote speaker. Now I request volunteers to come with bouquet, and I request Professor Syed Najullah sir to present this bouquet to our guest of honor, Dr. Wasiur Rahman sahab. Please. Volunteer, please come with memento. Yes. I request Professor Rumki Basu ma'am, please give this memento to our guest of honor, Dr. Wasiur Rahman sahab. Once again, I request the volunteer, please come with one piece of memento and bouquet. Yes. Yes. I request Najullah sir, please give this. Yes. Please give a big applause. And also a memento. Thank you very much for volunteers, as well as thanks a lot for the guest who accepted our token of respect. Now it's time for presenting a formal address by guest of honor, Dr. Wasiur Rahman sahab. Before calling him, I would like to give a brief CV. Dr. Wasiur Rahman sahab is a senior most IRS officer, and as I told you, he is working as an additional commissioner of income tax with Government of India. Wasiur Rahman sahab is a BUMS from Jamia Hamdard, New Delhi. He has a long experience of working with income tax department. He played a key role in India tax policy and legislation. He has been part of various committees, having a depth knowledge of accounting principle, auditing, and formulating the idea of good taxation and collection in India. With due respect, I invite Dr. Wasim Rahman Saab, please share his experience acquired at district level, and he would be sharing his thought. First of all, I would like to thank sir because he has consented to be here in very short notice. So for this, I would like to thanks on the behalf of Department of Public Administration. Please, sir, come to the dais and address the audience.
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। अस्सलामु अलैकुम। आज के मेहमान खुसूसी प्रोफेसर बसु मैम, हेड ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट, डीन ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट प्रोफेसर फरीदा सिद्दीकी साहिबा, डॉक्टर सैयद नजीउल्लाह साहब, सामीन, सबसे पहले तो मैं इंतज़ामिया का शुक्रगुज़ार हूँ कि मुझे इस अहम सेमिनार के मौके पर याद किया। पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन या एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन नज़्म व नस्क़ आम्मा, हर दिन हम लोगों को इससे वास्ता पड़ता है। अगर नज़्म व नस्क़ आम्मा अच्छा है, इसके असरात अच्छे होते हैं, और अगर नज़्म व नस्क़ आम्मा पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन अच्छा नहीं है तो इसके असरात भी अच्छे नहीं होते हैं। मुल्क को आज़ादी हासिल होने के बाद मुल्क की तरक्की में पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ने एक अहम रोल अदा किया है। मैं पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को एज ए सब्जेक्ट तो मुताला नहीं किया, लेकिन एक डिपार्टमेंट में होने के नाते हर दिन इससे वास्ता पड़ता रहता है। स्टडी के दौरान फ़ारसी की एक किताब अकबरनामा, उसमें एक चैप्टर जो सिविल सर्विसेज यूपीएससी के सिलेबस में उस वक्त शामिल हुआ करता था, उसमें अकबर बादशाह के बारे में एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के कुछ बातें लिखी हुई थी। चंद चैप्टर उसका भी हमने पढ़ा है। सेमिनार के टॉपिक्स की अहमियत जो मुझे समझ में आई कि हिंदुस्तान जब से आज़ाद हुआ है उसके बाद से एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ने जो रोल किया है, जिसका नतीजा ये है कि हमारा मुल्क आज इतनी तरक्की पर है। गुर्बत के मामले में, सेहत के मामले में, तालीम के मामले में, समाजी, सकाफ़ती तमाम एरिए में मुल्क ने काफ़ी तरक्की की है और ये तरक्की करता जा रहा है। आने वाले दिनों में जिस तरीके से 2047 तक का एक टारगेट रखा है मुल्क ने तरक्की याफ्ता मुल्कों में शामिल होने के लिए, उम्मीद है कि ये मुल्क तरक्की याफ्ता बन जाएगा और उसमें पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का बहुत अहम किरदार होगा। बगैर पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के अहम किरदार के मुल्क का तरक्की करना मुमकिन नहीं है। ये जो सेमिनार है, इस सेमिनार के जो मज़मून हैं, जो टॉपिक्स हैं, जो माहिरीन और जो प्रेजेंट करने वाले हैं, उसमें यही है कि 70 सालों में पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ने क्या राहें तय की हैं, क्या क्या किया है, उसमें क्या कमियां रही हैं, आने वाले 25 सालों के लिए जो टारगेट फिक्स करना है उसको दूर करना और इस मंसूबाबंदी के लिए एक राह तैयार करना, एक पॉलिसी बनाने के लिए मदद करना, ये सेमिनार का टॉपिक है। हमें बहुत उम्मीद है कि ये सेमिनार के मज़ामीन से जो एक जैसा कि उसमें लिखा एक कंपाइलेशन होगा और एक उसका एक डॉक्यूमेंटेशन भी होगा और तमाम लोगों के ख़यालात को यकजा करके और उसको आम तलबा और मुफक्किरीन के लिए और मुल्क के लिए, हुकूमत के लिए पेश किया जाएगा, जिसके नक्शे कदम पर या जिससे रहनुमाई लेकर के मुल्क हमारा आगे बढ़ेगा और तरक्की करेगा। तो हमारा ये मानना है कि इस तरीके के सेमिनार की बहुत ही अहमियत है और पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की चूँकि मुल्क के तरक्की में, मुल्क के बनाने में बहुत ज़्यादा इसका किरदार है, इसी हिसाब से हमारे इस सेमिनार की जो बातें होंगी, जो इसमें लोगों की राय होंगी, जो लोगों की रहनुमाई होंगी, लोगों के जो ख़यालात होंगे और जो एनालिसिस होगा, जो तज्ज़िया होगा, वो हमारे मुल्क की तरक्की में, पॉलिसी बनाने में, मनसूबाबंदी में बहुत ही अहम किरदार अदा करेगा। मैं इन्हीं चंद बातों पर अपनी बातों को ख़त्म करता हूँ। एक बार शुक्र अदा करूँगा उन तमाम इंतज़ामिया का जिन्होंने मुझे मौका दिया। शुक्रिया।
Thank you very much for your wonderful and insightful lecture, sir. The lecture is based on his professional experience as he worked for a long time with the Government of India as various capacity. And sir has discussed with regard to the theme of the seminar, how India will develop by 2047 in terms of every inclusive growth. Now, we will go ahead with the session's procedure. For this, I would like to request Professor Farida Siddiqui ma'am. She is the Dean, School of Arts and Social Science, MANUU. Ma'am has been instrumental as well as inspiration for us to make this seminar a great success. She is a senior professor of economics. She has more than 20 years of experience of teaching and research. Apart from her PhD degree from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi, she also did PG diploma in Islamic banking and insurance from United Kingdom. A lot of thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. डायस पर मौजूद मिस्टर तफसीर इकबाल, चीफ सेक्रेटरी तेलंगाना IRS एडिशनल कमिश्नर ऑफ इनकम टैक्स हैदराबाद, प्रोफेसर रुक्मी बासु, हेड सेंटर फॉर पब्लिक पॉलिसी एंड गवर्नेंस, इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ सोशल साइंसेज, न्यू दिल्ली. आई एम हैप्पी that you came all the way from Delhi to deliver this keynote address, ma'am. Thank you very much. Sayyid Najiullah Sahab, Head Department of Public Administration, Ahmed Raza Sahab, Seminar Coordinator of the program. Audience में मौजूद हमारे senior colleagues, participants or students, very good morning to all of you. At the outset, I take this opportunity to express my gratitude to have invited me to speak in this seminar. I would like to congratulate the Head Department of Head Department of Public Administration for organizing this seminar on a very important topic, public administration and development dynamics in India. This topic is very important coming from the Department of Economics. The development, the term called development appeals me a lot. Development is very important because it does not take, it is beyond economic growth. It does not take only into account economic growth. It takes many other things into account. Development में it takes technological progress, it takes innovations, it takes demographic transition, it takes it takes socio-economic exclusionary practices prevailing in the society. When you talk about socio-economic exclusion or exclusionary practices prevailing in the society, you have to talk about poverty, you have to talk about inequality, you have to talk about the issues the society is confronting because of the technological progress. So development is actually not a linear process, it is a dynamic process जिसमें हम समाज के मुख्तलिफ पर्सपेक्टिव्स को स्टडी करते हैं. When we talk about development, here the issue of public administration comes into the perspective. Their role is very important. I am glad that the Department of Public Administration has invited somebody from actually the field, the IRS officer, Dr. Wasim, who is here with us, who was sharing his experiences. I was very glad when he said that इंशाल्लाह हिंदुस्तान एक तरक्की याफ्ता मुल्क बनेगा. अभी हम तरक्की पजीर मुल्क हैं. आगे इंशाल्लाह जैसे नजीउल्लाह साहब ने भी कहा, हम तरक्की याफ्ता मुल्क ज़रूर बनेंगे. और वो तभी मुमकिन होगा जब पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर्स, एकेडमिक्स, जैसे प्रोफेसर बासु हमारे दरमियान मौजूद हैं. वो एक बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट सेंटर से ताल्लुक़ रखती हैं दिल्ली के. दिस सेंटर हैज़ रियली वेरी इम्पॉर्टेंट रोल टू प्ले इन पॉलिसी मेकिंग, इन पॉलिसी फार्मुलेशन. दीज आर द पीपल who give advices to the government of India, and these are the people who are formulating the studies, like Dr. Wasim. These are the people who are formulating the policies. So here policy formulation is very important. यहाँ पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट रोल होता है. पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन तमाम पर्सपेक्टिव्स को अपने फोल्ड में लेता है. ट्रांसपेरेंसी, इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ऑफ द पॉलिसीज़, करप्शन, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, जैसे कि डॉक्टर वसीम ने कहा, तमाम चीज़ें बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट होती हैं. लेकिन इन तमाम के साथ में हमें इस पर्सपेक्टिव को हम नज़रअंदाज नहीं कर सकते कि इंडिया हैज़ अ वास्ट पॉपुलेशन. वी आर अ बिग नेशन. हमारा वी आर मोर देन 1.3 बिलियन नाउ. तो उस साइज़ ऑफ पॉपुलेशन को डील करना बहुत मुश्किल है, और ये चैलेंजेस हैं पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के सामने. हिंदुस्तान में पॉलिसी मेकिंग बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट रोल अदा करती है, और इसलिए वो रोल और इम्पॉर्टेंट हो जाता है कि जैसे कि मैंने अभी कहा, साइज़ ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन इज़ वेरी बिग इन इंडिया. उसके लिए पॉलिसीज़ को बनाना और इम्प्लीमेंट करना, और उसके लिए बजट एलोकेशन के प्रोविजंस को क्रिएट करना बहुत ज़्यादा चैलेंजिंग इशू होता है. और वो चैलेंजिंग और इसलिए भी हो जाता है कि इनोवेटिव पॉलिसीज़ को हमारे पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर्स डिज़ाइन भी करते हैं, इम्प्लीमेंट भी कराने की कोशिश करते हैं, लेकिन ग्राउंड रियलिटीज़ पर इश्यूज़ कुछ और होते हैं. यहाँ बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है, जैसे कि डॉक्टर वसीम ने कहा कि हम तरक्की याफ्ता मुल्क बनेंगे इंशाल्लाह. तरक्की याफ्ता बनने के लिए सरकार, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया हैज़ स्टार्टेड वेरी एम्बिशियस, वेरी इनोवेटिव स्कीम्स लाइक डिजिटल इंडिया इनिशिएटिव, जिसमें जिसमें सरकार को लगा कि हम जो ह्यूज साइज़ ऑफ पॉपुलेशन है, हमारे पास जो ह्यूज ह्यूमन कैपिटल है, उसको हम इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं। हम जैसे कि वर्ल्ड बैंक सजेस्ट कर रहा है, अभी एक वर्ल्ड बैंक की रिपोर्ट आई नॉलेज इकोनॉमी इन इंडिया, तो हम कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि हिंदुस्तान को इकोनॉमी को ट्रांसफॉर्म करें नॉलेज इकोनॉमी में। नॉलेज इकोनॉमी मीन्स व्हेन इकोनॉमी क्रिएट्स, डिसेमिनेट्स एंड यूजेस नॉलेज to accelerate the process of economic development of the country. I would say socio-economic development of the country, जिसमें समाज के तमाम ग्रुप्स को इंक्लूड किया जा सके तरक्की की धारा में पार्टिसिपेट करने के लिए। We cannot design our policies in a manner where only a particular section of the society is being benefited. What we are confronting now is the digital divide. Innovative policies हैं हमारे पास, लेकिन हमारे challenges हैं। हमारे चैलेंजेस भी इतने ह्यूज हैं कि उनको डील करने के लिए भी पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर्स को एक टफ पर्सपेक्टिव्स से गुज़रना पड़ता है। डिजिटल इंडिया इनिशिएटिव शुरू किया गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने, लेकिन हमने नई प्रॉब्लम डिजिटल डिवाइड को वी आर कन्फ्रंटिंग विद अ न्यू प्रॉब्लम, जिसमें हम देख रहे हैं कि इंडिया इज़ बीइंग डिवाइडेड into two groups, haves and have nots, and the gap of course is being minimized, lekin there is still a gap. 38% population in India is digitally literate, and 31% of rural population in India is digitally literate. That means 70% of the rural population is digitally excluded, whereas 57% have access to internet in urban India, but again around 30% have no access to internet in urban India. So there is a clear-cut rural-urban divide in the country. There is a challenge before the country, like the public administrators to allocate the funds in such a manner that the dream of the government of India to transform the economy into a knowledge economy comes true. But for that we need huge allocation of investment. Another scheme that comes in my mind during COVID-19, the government of India started a very nice program app that was e-Sanjeevani. It was under Ayushman Bharat mission. It was meant for providing medicine to rural masses. But again, when 70% of the rural masses have no access to internet, when they are facing digital exclusion, we cannot think of providing them medicine sitting in the remotest corners of the country. So even the schemes are ambitious and nice, innovative, but the ground realities are different. There was since I'm a person who is from social sciences, economics, but then the issue of gender comes into my mind always whenever I think of anything under the sun pertaining to social sciences or any social problem. According to National Family Health Survey 2021, only 33% women have ever used internet in the country. Have ever used internet in the country. Only 33%. That means around 67% of women in the country have never used internet. we are now talking about digital India. So that is the problem. We need to bring the women into the fold of education. This is possible only when we are making huge investments in education and health. So for health, everything we are talking about digital initiative. So health is reaching to the doors of each and every person in the country, but they are not able to utilize the services provided by the government of India because of the lack of access, because of the non-availability of the gadgets like the phone or laptops or the internet facility. They are not availing the services provided by the government. They are not being benefited by the services provided by the government of India. This data is 57% in case of men. So there is a clear-cut exclusionary dimension in case of women. Recently, Government of India in its budget, understanding the exclusionary issues of the government, of the masses, rural masses or gender perspectives, the government of India has started investing more on education. Now in this budget, the Prime Minister of the country initiated a new program called PM Shri. PM Shri is Pradhan Mantri Schools for Rising India. So they have allocated in this budget, in this very recent budget, the government of India has allocated 4,000 crore of rupees to establish 8,000 schools in various corners of the country. So the government has started investing more to bring the people into the fold of education. The government has also started investing on financial inclusion, because there also things are really bad. The people have no access to credit. People have no access to financial services in the country. The government has started the programs, Aadhaar. They have linked, the government has linked the Aadhaar card so that the money is directly deposited to the account of the beneficiary. So direct transfer started taking place, and the downtrodden strata of the society is being benefited out of these innovative, ambitious and very appealing schemes of the government of India. I hope in this seminar we are going to discuss the challenges that the government of India, the public administrators are facing in making the schemes, in designing the schemes and in implementing these schemes. I think in this seminar we are going to provide some policy suggestions to the planners of the country. अपनी बात को ख़त्म करने से पहले मैं एक बार फिर मुबारकबाद दूंगी डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को कि उन्होंने एक बहुत उम्दा टॉपिक पर सेमिनार को ऑर्गेनाइज़ किया, और मुझे उम्मीद है कि हमारी कीनोट स्पीकर हमारे पार्टिसिपेंट्स को बहुत इंस्पायर करेंगी और एक बहुत ही कामयाब सेमिनार हम ऑर्गेनाइज़ करेंगे। बेहद शुक्रिया।
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your enlightening talk. Really, it has been an intellectually enriching experience. You have touched so many critical areas for the purpose of development in India. Your comments were especially helpful to those who are doing research. Now, I have to make an announcement that when Vice Chancellors join us, we will be releasing souvenir. So before this releasing program, I would like to request keynote speaker, Professor Rumki Basu. Before calling, I would give a brief introduction and detailed CV. Professor Rumki Basu is currently head Center for Public Policy and Governance in the Institute of Social Science, New Delhi. Formerly, she was head and professor of public administration in Jamia Millia Islamia from 2005 to 2021. She was also the director of Center for Jawaharlal Nehru Studies and Sarojini Naidu Center for Women Studies in Jamia. She has a bachelor and master's degree in political science from University of Delhi, standing first from Lady Sri Ram College in graduation and completing her post-graduation with a national scholarship. She did her PhD degree from Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. She has published more than 14 books, 30 articles in journal and 20 books chapter on issue of public policy and governance, international organization, big and the public economy of development in India. She has also presented so many papers in India and abroad, namely World Congress of Political Science and many others. Her latest 3 books, Democracy and Public Policy in Post-COVID-19 World, Choices and Outcomes, which is published in 2021. Madam is an icon subject for public administration. Her book, Public Administration Theory and Concept, is a widely read book. And just with due respect, ma'am, I would like to call, please come and address the audience. Please, ma'am.
Honorable Vice Chancellor, Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Professor Syed Ainul Hassan, who will be arriving shortly. Guest of honor, Dr. Wasimur Rahman, IRS, Additional Commissioner of Income Tax, Hyderabad, Dean, School of Arts and Social Sciences, Madam Professor Farida Siddiqui, Head, Department of Public Administration, Professor Syed Najiullah, Seminar Coordinator, Dr. Ahmed Raza. I can see my old student, Dr. Khurshid Alam. He was instrumental in contacting me on the phone first, and then there were others who contacted me, and finally I did come to give the keynote. And all students and teachers of the public administration fraternity all over India that I can see. Some faces are familiar, some are not, but I do believe I have this connect with all of you simply because I have been a professor of public administration for almost 35 years. Therefore, there is an instant connect with the audience here. I would like to congratulate the Department of Public Administration, Maulana Azad National Urdu University, to have initiated this trend, which should have been initiated by others before, of hosting full-time 2-day offline national seminars, which I, as a professor, was missing badly and sorely because I had been addressing only online conferences for almost 3 years now. So it was such a refreshing change for me to come here physically, be a part of the university public administration fraternity, and also those who've come, the outstation public administration fraternity. It gives me huge pleasure to be physically present here and addressing perhaps my first offline 2-day national seminar since I retired from Jamia Millia Islamia in 2021. Thank you, sir. Thank you, all of you from the Public Administration Department in this university to have invited me. Now, I normally do not carry any sheet or paper when I go for any address, but my apologies that I'm getting old. I have already circulated the theme paper that's been published in the souvenir, which is the extended version of what I'm going to say right now. I do think that it's enough if I just point to some highlights or some key themes which I wanted to flag off in the theme paper, which will be before you when you carry the souvenir with you. That's a long one, the paper itself. But maybe there are issues, there are themes which I wanted to highlight. And lest I forget, I'm carrying something with me from where I will be reading on, off and on. Now, let me state at the outset that the theme, when I was told about the theme, that is public administration and development dynamics in India, it not only excited me, but also intimidated me considerably. Because I did understand that if I were to, if I were to speak in conjunction with public administration's contribution as a discipline with the developmental dynamics in India, that it would really mean mapping the development journey in of the Indian state and administration in this 75th year of the Republic. Many of you would find what I was saying or was planning to say familiar and repetitive. Therefore, I have decided to sketch only some of what I consider are the critical turning points and try to explain the implementation gaps in well-intentioned policies and the lessons to be learned, therefore, in this 75-year-old development journey of the Indian nation. I'll finally make my comments and observations on the seminal policy changes that have happened in this 75-year-old journey from time to time, and how our greatest problem, our greatest drawback, or the greatest challenge has been in this journey to bridge the implementation gaps and also not being able to reach the last mile delivery through the changes that we made. Even today, the last mile delivery is the biggest challenge of Indian public governance as I see it today. So therefore, what are the critical questions we should ask? At this point of time, that is standing here in 2024, what are the critical questions for the Amrit Kal generation that I see here today? And the Amrit Kal generation, I hope all of you students who will be policymakers of tomorrow, and also, try to understand the past, because you were not a part of the past. The 75-year-old journey has been really our history, the older generation's history. That will come to you as a legacy, something that you can't change. There were good things that we did. There were things that remain an unfinished agenda, which you will have to carry on your shoulders. So before you turn too critical about the older generation and the legacies that you've got, I do think teachers, professors, and practitioners of the older generation need to give you an explanation of why did we do what we did in this 75 years. Now, the single biggest challenge for anyone analyzing public administration and the developmental dynamics in India is that the subject seems like a project in progress, conveying a sense of a country perennially in a state in transition to transformation, while a broad commitment to the constitutional legal framework and to the institutions of governance is the lowest common denominator from where we can start any discourse on Indian public governance in India today. There is nothing that can go without contestation. It's not because we are living necessarily in polarized times, but the developmental discourse in these 25 years have often been debated, contested by several groups of practitioners, of policymakers, of policy implementers, civil society activists, and so on. So nothing has gone without contestation in our developmental discourse. And the reason why we could do it so vocally, so openly, and so critically was because we still remain a democracy. Despite whatever we may say, I do think that democracy itself as a model of governance is not up for contestation anymore. Not because Western scholars have certified that yes, India is a vibrant democracy, but because I feel we've lived those 75 years as a vocal, argumentative democracy. And that's the certificate we need to give ourselves. We don't need any certificates from abroad. The reason why, of course, the Indian politico-administrative model, if I may call it so, has become such a subject of interest and wonder globally is simply because of its sustainability. In the third world, or that's not a fashionable term to use anymore, in the developing world, India remains almost an exceptional case of a country with the largest and longest constitution in the world, where despite over 100 changes to keep up with the times, we still retain the basic structure. So therefore, we can say our constitution has survived. And whatever is there in the constitution can be debated from time to time, but I think the basic structure is not up for debate anymore. I'm very, very clear on this. Now, secondly, what is so wondrous about our politico-administrative model? The reason being, you cannot talk of Indian public governance and you cannot talk of Indian administration without understanding the democratic framework in which it functions. Because if you are to talk of public service delivery, if you are to talk of implementation gaps that have been bridged in many countries of the world, there are many countries to compete with us which are non-democracies, which are one-party states. China, to give an example, which has fulfilled all the SDG goals. And of course, there are so many other countries like the Far Eastern economies and Singapore. Then there are other countries, Korea. You can take up any non-democratic country as having been great implementers, great developmental states, who are doing better than us in all human development parameters. So therefore, what is so great about India? Because India, of course, has been called many times, from being a failed democracy to a non-implementing democracy, a soft state, to all kinds of labels have been given to us as a country which sets goals which are marvelous but doesn't implement. So we are supposedly a soft state, soft on implementation. The point I'm trying to make is, today, I think, globally, we have earned much more respect for this politico-administrative model, which we've tried to work within a democratic constitutional legal framework. That is the biggest challenge. It's not just the poverty goals or the developmental goals, which all developing countries have faced in the post-Second World War period. So therefore, there is nothing new in our challenges. Whether it is poverty or nation building or developmental goals, almost all developing countries after Second World War have faced these goals. Then what is unique about India's challenge? The uniqueness of our challenge, the questions that need to be asked are, why, despite being a democracy, is India's capacity to deliver material well-being to a large number of citizens often in doubt? Why is its increasingly more representative system not responsive enough to different sections of the population through its public service delivery system? So therefore, these are valid questions which can be asked from any non-democracy also. I think the significance lies of the Indian system, public service delivery system, is that we have to operate within a democratic, accountable framework, which goes slow, which makes you a soft state, which always leads to some kind of implementation gaps. That is the biggest challenge in the world's largest democracy today, because we are the world's largest, most populous democracy. And how do you have 100% implementation of your goals in such a within such a democratic framework? That is the biggest challenge, which I don't think any country in the world faces it as much as we do. So therefore, our challenges are different because our political, legal, constitutional framework is different. And we have to understand and sympathize with our policymakers, our policy implementers, that things will not work like magic as it may happen in Singapore or China or anywhere else, where you do not, your development administration has many breaks and could lead to failures, which does not happen elsewhere in authoritarian models of governance. So therefore, if you look at our model, the contestations, over secularism or representation or social justice, it's all part of the developmental discourse today. So there has been an explosion of data, and data for development is a big thing today. We have to use data for development, but data can reveal and data can hide as much. So therefore, you have to understand how to use data for development today is extremely important. And the goals that are projected, if there are failures, we have to take the failures more seriously, and you have to understand what is the root cause of that failure. Sometimes the root cause lies somewhere else, which we do not understand. So today, democracy, having had a working, functional democracy for almost 75 years, leads us to other questions, which are very, very important. So what are the three most clearly identifiable features of Indian administration? I would say it's resilience, its fragility, and the fact that we often muddle through our goals. These are important points to understand, and there are reasons for our failures when we talk of wanting to be an administrative state, an efficient administrative state, but there are democratic constraints which do not allow us to be that efficient as it is possible in non-democratic states. That's one thing we have to understand when we talk of India's developmentalist state. Now, in the last 7 decades, our governance discourse is mainly about development, no doubt, which contains within it the aspirations for economic growth, for the building up of scientific and technological capability and infrastructure, for self-sufficiency, self-reliance, redistribution of wealth, welfare protection, increasing employment opportunities in the modern economy, and overall for livelihood security. Here again, the discourse on development in India has changed from a state-centric to a market-driven one. So there has been a major sea change in this developmental discourse, from redistribution, which was earlier a big goal in the planning era, to growth, from autarkic development to linking the Indian economy with the global economy. So much of change has happened in these 75 years. However, let us look at some of the broad trends and shifts in public governance from the 1990s. Inception of e-governance was a big change. Inculcation of data analytics capabilities at the district and block levels, envisaged as early as 1978, subsequent efforts in the 1980s. The second big change is increasing shifts in governance from paper-based business processes to digital. The third was economic reforms ushered in the 1990s progressively changed the role of the district administration. The next big change is the policy shift to mitigate inter-regional inequality, whether it's the Backward Regions Grant Fund, Rashtriya Samvikas Yojana, PM Rural Development Fellowship, and so on, were all meant to mitigate inter-regional inequality. And as for financial inclusion, there have been big initiatives too. And today we have the PM Gati Shakti, Swamitva, National Digital Health Mission, the National Digital Education Architecture, the National Data Accessibility Policy. These are possibilities for collaboration between government, research, and private sector. And of course, you have to look at the role of startups after 2014. Taking advanced analytics and other technology-based solutions to the grassroots to improve service delivery in rural areas and digitized metrics in government service delivery. These are very major, big shifts in governance in India after the 1980s, really, moving on till now. So the governments, now if we have to look at process reforms, the government's policy since 2014 has been maximum governance, minimum government. And India has succeeded in transforming technologically obsolete institutions into modern-day digital institutions, which do benefit a lot of Indians. So in what is today called the Amrit Kal period, the government's clarion call is for adoption of next generation reforms by bridging the gap between government and citizens through process reforms. Now, if you look at digital transformation of governance, you will notice that there are these very serious reforms that have come about, which talks of modernization, innovations, meeting citizen demands, and so on, through time periods, complied with regulations and adaptation to changes. This was done by the National E-Services Delivery Assessment, and we have, of course, adoption of E-Office 7.0, CP grants. All of this led to some major innovations and changes in process, in the way government runs governance. These are called process reforms which have happened. Now, if you look at Vision India at 2047 on governance, the India at 2047 would be governed by civil servants who are currently in their 8th to 10th year of civil service. This is very important. Government has striven to inspire and involve the young civil servants with Vision India at 2047. Now, futuristic governance models would be highly complex, necessitating considerable domain expertise between technology, academia, and startups for young civil servants to be kept abreast of these sectors. The 10 very important thematic areas which have been based on the challenging futuristic governance policy endeavors that civil servants would face in their career are energy and net zero, education, healthcare and assistive technology, water, infrastructure and communications, transport and mobility, urbanization and housing, rural development and agriculture, fintech and inclusion, information security and defense. So young IAS officers are an integral part of specific thematic areas of Vision India at 2047 on governance and are sensitized on the challenging policy endeavors that are needed. So therefore, we do have miles to go, but there are these specific areas that have been, marked out for changes till 2047. Now, if I am to move out to, I'm cutting short the lecture because everything is there in the souvenir that has come out. That's the detailed souvenir which will give you an idea of what has been mapped out. But there are, some broad goals and issues that we need to look at. So, let me move straight to the SDGs. That's very, very important. Now, India for all needs a whole of government, whole of society, and a community-led action with local level monitoring of performance. Now, Gandhiji's talisman of the last person in the mile and what our interventions do for that person was never more relevant than today's extraordinary times. Our quest for scaling up in ease of doing business should simultaneously have an equal thrust of being in the top 25 on human development by 2047, as human development alone paves the way for sustainable higher order economic progress and incomes. So through the SDGs, the UN has popularized the notion of a minimum agenda of good governance, globally defined as citizen entitlements. Now, if you look at the SDGs signed by all members of the UN, what kind of goals are they? Abolition of extreme hunger, gender parity, sustainable development, literacy and good health, drinking water and electricity for all. These are some of the public goods which need to be guaranteed as rights to all citizens, making poverty, for example, a human rights violation. These are very, very innovative ideas if you look at the SDGs. This is the agenda around which all signatory governments will be judged by 2030. Public goods and services that governments gave to their citizens in advanced welfare states of the West and ex-socialist systems need to be extended to all citizens living in the developing world. Now, despite India's large population and high growth rates, our cumulative CO2 emissions were a record 3% as against 47% of the US and EU combined. Similarly, in terms of per capita emission, India's economic rise has come with a smaller environmental footprint, and we are steadily moving towards the targeted net zero emissions. These are heartening things. Now, no single factor, definitely not ideology, has contributed more to the current political regime's dominance in the last 10 years as the government's singular focus on welfare delivery. It's a phenomenon that unfolded almost in a surreptitious mode at first. Assessments of the link between welfare and electoral politics only started getting explored after the 2019 general elections, but has come to supplement grassroots political mobilization to the extent that it has now spawned a culture of government benefits with strong political branding. The model of this new welfareism, as old models of entitlement politics, instead of recasting citizens into beneficiaries, or we look at them as labhartis. So welfare delivery is a pivotal point which the politico-administrative model around which it revolves today. Now, in India, in the last few decades, as we transit from the politics of scarcity to the politics of prosperity, we will notice a major paradigm shift in the discourses on democracy and good governance. What stands out is the distinction made between a procedural notion of democracy, debated by the constitutional legal functioning of its public institutions, and a substantivist notion of democracy, where the nation-building exercise has been redefined in terms of concrete citizen entitlements and actual access to rights and public goods. Democracies are often slow, deliberative, and procedure-oriented, unable to develop electoral promises effectively, and therefore dubbed as soft states. The biggest bane in India today, and I say this with a lot of emphasis, is the phenomenon of differentiated citizen entitlements in different states of India. For example, you might get access to a decent platter of public goods like food, education, health, and employment, depending on which state you are residing in. So Niti Aayog has a SDG India Index and a India Human Development Index, which has made interstate comparison possible in all development parameters. Today, 300 schemes come under direct benefit transfer. Now I come to some of my, because the rest of it you can read from the brochure. Let me come to some of my concluding observations. I would like to conclude my address with the following interlinked statements, which I will present to the audience to ponder upon. Please think about it, ponder over it, and you may come to certain conclusions yourself. You're all students or academicians here. Number one, democracy is normatively the best form of government for espousing the twin values of liberty and equality, and empirically to empower citizens with public goods as rights or entitlements. Think about it. Democracy should always be looked at as a work in progress, a means towards human security through good governance. To win electoral battles, very often leaders resort to short-term impact freebies instead of long-term welfare measures. That's a known empirical fact about democracy. Number two, democracy can only be consolidated, especially in newer areas, through enhanced state capacity by making democratic governance work for its citizens. Number three, democracy should build public sector institutions for public safety, law and order first, and then strengthen them for public service delivery, so that democratic governments execute welfare schemes with a consolidated measure of effectiveness. Next, some authoritarian governments in the world today, for example, China, Russia, Singapore, Vietnam, are essentially hard states, having built up state institutions to deliver economic development efficiently and effectively. Democratic regimes have to compete with them through proven public policy outcomes. That's the biggest challenge, because non-democracies outnumber democracies. So therefore, that's the biggest challenge of the world's largest democracy, that is India. Next, moving new developing countries towards democracy without building up their institutional capacities and public service delivery systems will not lead to prosperity, human development, or peace dividends. This is the point I'm very strongly making. Please think about it. Next, democracy enhances citizen choices in every aspect of their lives, but policy outcome deficits due to short-term populist measures will lead to democratic deficits which lie at the root of unsustainable, weak, or failed democracies everywhere in the globe. That's empirically been proved today. So, therefore, I conclude with one paragraph only, bear me out. The difference between the magnetic idea of real equality, within bracket, however utopian, and day-to-day perceived inequalities is the greatest cause of democratic deficits in all democracies, old and new. And India is no exception to this rule. It's absolutely necessary for democracies and democratic public power to succeed and deliver if democratization is to become the leitmotif of good governance in the 21st century. Therefore, I would like to end by saying that the India story at 75 is an extraordinarily consequential and researchable one. The spirit in which I speak is exploratory. There is a need to explore the different facets of this profound historical phenomenon called India. In many ways, I can foresee India moving along ahead with decades of great change and economic development to overcome poverty and low human development. But looking at our last 75-year history of democracy, the knowledge of India's historical legacies, how the democratic state is currently transforming, and where it might be headed, would also help us to understand why our model of administration and governance will survive and be a role model for the developing world in the 21st century. Let us probe and see whether it can be a role model. That's the question I'm asking. India's rise stems from civilizational choices made nearly 200 years ago to learn, to adapt, to unite. Our transformation from a soft state, and that word has been used for India several times, that we are a soft state. Our transformation from a soft state to a hard state, which should make us more confident, even if we make that transition, it should make us more confident, compassionate, inclusive, and humane. Qualities that the world's largest democracy can well afford to stand for and stand by. Because these are the qualities that have sustained our democracy in 75 years and will sustain us in the years to come. Thank you so much for your patience and forbearance. Thank you, sir, for being with me here. I would like to congratulate the Department of Public Administration for having given me this opportunity to speak on a subject and a theme which excited me when I was first given the opportunity. My full paper, I've just taken some extracts from the full paper that was submitted to the department, and that will be a part of the souvenir that you will get. Do read the full paper with all the arguments I've put forth. This was just a fraction because of paucity of time, and I didn't want to test your patience. So therefore, go through the full paper where all these arguments have been developed and highlighted. And they, I think, are relevant for all students, professors, policy makers, change makers in India of today. Thank you so much for having given me this opportunity.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for this detailed and wonderful lecture with regard to public administration and governance and with respect to the development model of India. Madam has delivered an excellent speech, and after this speech, there is no need to listen, just we have to work. Before proceeding next, I would like to request my volunteers, please come with bouquet and memento. I request Professor Farida ma'am to present a bouquet to Vice Chancellor Professor Syed Ainul Hasan Sahab, who has come just after he has very. Yeah. Please come, volunteer, please come with memento. I request Professor Rumki Basu ma'am, please present to the Vice Chancellors. Please. Once again, I welcome Vice Chancellor Sahab, and now may I request Visa, please give a presidential remarks. Please, sir.
In the name of the one who bestowed life and wisdom to all of us. Professor Farida Siddiqui, Dean, Professor Najiullah, Head of the Department, Keynote Speaker, Professor Basu, Mr. Tausif Iqbal, IPS, Wasimur Rahman, IRS. First of all, my apologies to you for joining late. There are certain constraints, selection committee is going on. But this is also important. Although I don't belong to public administration, yet I run the administration. So, well, I was listening to Professor Basu's notes very minutely and carefully, and taking a lot of cues from her speech. All of us know that India is too big and too diverse. And we have certain ways to run the administration. We have to have our own policy, which may go global, because we cannot think as an alien and away from the global needs and aspirations. So, we have to connect ourselves to the remotest part of this globe. "47, 57, 47, 57, 57, and again 47. Why these figures are coming again and again and again? We should think. Are we going to learn from history, or a different set of administration we are looking for? These are big questions, and we have to frame our own system accordingly. 47, which 47? No, before 47 there is 57. 1757. A big loss. Entire Bengal. Big Bengal. Big bang. Cotton crop. We lost. 57. 1857. 100 years later, we lost everything. And again 47, 19 years later. 90 years later, sense of realization, sleeping, awakening, again pushing, fighting, recapturing, and again division. Issue was land. In coming 47, do you think there is an issue of land? There will be. No, I don't think. Now you don't need to capture land. You have to capture market. That's how you see economists suggest, Professor Farida must have spoken on her economics. I am absolutely nil, you see. Not my cup of tea. But yes, market-oriented. Where is market? Do you want to remain a consumer or producer? So now, where is? There must be a kind of check and balance. But the most important thing, as I said, taking cue from her notes, she suggests that, look, first thing is that we must collaborate. And collaboration means what? Collaboration means our old friends, good friends, new friends. Like, in Okla, old friends colony, new friends colony. So today, see, both old and new are combined together. What? For what? Because this is about your sustainable development. Don't talk about your enemies. And don't make enemy. No need to make any country, anybody. If you want to survive globally, then no country is untouchable. All countries become important. So keep making friends. And second is, don't lose your friends. This is also important. When you are making friends, don't lose your friends. But what you have to give up, what you have to lose, you have to give up greed, deceit. Don't deceit. Make your administration, make this administration transparent. When you make this administration transparent, when you make the governance transparent, it will attract. Many players will come to you and will extend their support to you. This is the crux of the matter. Now what happens? Then you have to decide. Action point, that very point is important in terms of clear and sharp administration, where you have to decide whether in public or in private. You decide what action is conducive for your administrative health. That is important. Don't take anything in haste. We had, 30 long years friendship with Russia. In spite of the fact there are the two sets of notions around us, two blocks around us, but we have to coordinate with both the blocks. It does not mean we are neither here nor there. We are in the hub of affairs. And exactly what the government has been doing. The policy is not changed. And then finally, what you have gained, whether in terms of economy, in terms of building a social structure in your society, in terms of acquiring modern education and your own policies, in terms of health, environment, everything, that you have to preserve. And how? Because there is something in between, which we have to read in between. What is there? Your spirit, your own spirit. Don't give up. You are in the market. Don't give your spirit. Market will remain there. But keep your spirit intact. How? You are different. India is too diverse, too big, too different. That's how all languages are important. All cultures are important. It's a combination of various cultures, various languages, various ethos, various traditions. Keep these things intact. Then you will create your own identity. By acquiring wealth, you will not succeed in your mission. By keeping your ethos intact, you will remain alive forever. But little awareness is required. If you are not aware, you will be placed nowhere. And therefore, when Mirza Ghalib says, हम वहाँ हैं जहाँ से हमको भी कुछ हमारी खबर नहीं आती, that will be a biggest jolt to our society. And I'm again thankful to you for asking me to participate in this deliberation, and I wish you all the best for today deliberation of the conference. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Your words of encouragement have been guiding us. So now I request the volunteers, please come with a souvenir. So it's time to release. Yes. I request the Vice Chancellor and other guests please release our souvenir. This book is book of abstract is prepared, and the man behind is Dr. Naved Asrafi, who has worked hard to prepare these books. Please. So now the moment has finally arrived us. Before concluding, I would like to request my colleague, Dr. Sudhanshu Chandra, please give a formal vote of thanks in brief, because sir has to go somewhere. Then followed by a national anthem. Okay, please.
A very good afternoon to all of you. First of all, I like to thank VC sir, Professor Saeed Anul Hassan sir, to participate in this national seminar. From his busy schedule, he has taken time. Thank you, sir, for coming and give your presence and brief idea about the seminar and the public administration. I would like to thank you, guest of honor, Tafsir Iqbal, IPS DIG, Chief Security, Telangana. I would like to thank you, Dr. Wasim Ur Rahman, IRS, Additional Commissioner Income Tax, Telangana. I would like to thank Professor Rumika Vasu, ma'am, Head Center of Public Policy and Governance, Institute of Social Science, New Delhi. I would like to thank Dr. Saeed Naziullah, HOD, Department of Public Administration. I would like to thank Professor Farida Siddiqui, ma'am, Dean, School of Arts and Social Science. I would like to thank all the deans, HODs, faculties, research scholars, and the participants who have come here to attend the national seminar from across India. And I would like to thank DOP staff, non-teaching staff, IMC department, PRO staff, and last but not the least, everyone who has worked hard day and night to conclude or to happen this national seminar on public administration. Thank you, everyone.
I request the teams to please play the songs. And I request the audience please stand up in honor of our national song.
Sindh